Well, it's a good afternoon to you. It's lunchtime, Friday. I'm trying it again. Let's see how it goes. I don't know how many people will watch on a lunchtime because they don't expect me to be on a Friday afternoon at lunchtime. But welcome to the West Ham Voice. If you're watching, a very warm welcome to you. It's the second time I'm trying to do this on a Friday lunchtime. So let's see how it goes over time, shall we? Um, it's a preview on the game against Arsenal coming up. And I'm going to give you my thoughts as to how I think the game is going to go. And then give me your opinions as to how you think it's going to go. Who do you think it's going to start? What the scoreline is going to be, and so on and so forth. So the last two games against Arsenal have been games that I guess many West Ham fans would really like to forget. Both games played at home, both games ending with absolute thumpings at the hands of our North London rivals. The most recent, of course, was back in November when under Julian Lopetegui, we were soundly beaten 5-2. And to be quite honest with you, the scoreline could have been and should have been a lot worse than it was. And prior to that, under David Moyes in February 2024, we were thrashed 6-0. So perhaps one could argue that a 5-2 beating was an improvement on the 6-0 thrashing. But here we are, a year on from that 6-0 defeat with our third manager in place to lead us into battle against Arsenal. Yeah, there have been some, there might be some hope to cling on to. And if I'm really clutching at straws, and I guess I am, then there are a number of factors to take into consideration for the game against Arsenal this coming Saturday. Now, the first being that the last time we beat Arsenal was actually at their own ground, when in December 2023, again under David Moyes, we came away with a fantastic 2-0 win at the Emirates when Thomas Soucek and Dinos Mavropanos scored the goals and Angelo Ogbonna put in an absolute masterclass defensive performance that night. Look, it was a fantastic night. I guess nobody really thought that we were going to get anything from the game. But we managed to absorb an awful lot of pressure from Arsenal and came away with a win that no one really thought we were going to get. And the other hope is on top of that win, given the fact that, the last time we beat them was at their ground. The other hope is that with Graham Potter in place, we kind of go into this game as a bit of an unknown quantity to Arsenal. What I mean by that is where Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta would have been fairly confident on how West Ham were going to set up against Arsenal when David Moyes and Lopetegui were in charge, Arteta perhaps won't feel as confident as to how Graham Potter is going to set up against them. You see, unlike Moyes and unlike Lopetegui, Potter won't have this West Ham side sitting back and absorbing pressure, and he's more likely to go at Arsenal, try and sort of give it an attacking approach. And the third factor to take into consideration is that Arsenal do have quite a few injuries to deal with. But having said that, they've got a deep squad who should still be able to deliver. So let's look at Arsenal first. Now, Takahiro Tomiyasu has joined Arsenal's growing list of injuries as he will miss the rest of the season following surgery on his right knee. Now, we already know that Bukayo Saka is missing from the game. He's been out injured with a hamstring tear since December. And despite being spotted in training in the gym, he's still several weeks away from a return to first-team football. Other players that are injured, Kai Havertz will miss the rest of the season after tearing his hamstring, and Gabriel Martinelli is not likely to return to action until after the next international break, which is at the end of March. And finally, Gabriel Jesus suffered an anterior cruciate ligament, which is also see him out for the rest of the season. But despite all these injuries, let's not get ourselves into a false sense of security. The reason why Arsenal continue to do well in the Premier League and in the Champions League is because of the depth of their squad. They smashed Man City 5-1 at the beginning of February. And in their last game against Leicester, Mikel Merino came on from the bench to grab a brace in beating them away from home. In fact, with so many key players out, players like Miles Lewis-Skelly in midfield and attacking players like Ethan Nwaneri, is that how you pronounce it? Nwaneri, Naneri, and Mikel Merino have stepped in to keep the Arsenal momentum going. Now, it's quite possible that Merino has won himself a starting place in the game against West Ham on Saturday. And plus, academy players Nwaneri, 17-year-old, and 18-year-old left-back Lewis-Skelly are all likely to keep their places in the team as well. And this is a similarity between Arteta and Potter, maybe more by default than design, but they both put faith in their academy players to deliver in the senior team. So with so many attacking players out, it's a debate whether misfiring Raheem Sterling will keep his place in attack. But again, it may be a case of needs must. Now, of course, we've got to keep quiet one of their key players, and that, of course, is playmaker and Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard. So much of the play goes through him, and he clearly is one of the biggest threats against West Ham. But another threat, and a player that's well known to Graham Potter, is Leandro Trossard, another player that is a key threat. He's got 5 goals with 7 assists this season. And with Odegaard, 3 goals and 6 assists, you can see where the threat lies against this Arsenal team. Now, at the other end of the pitch, scoring against Arsenal is not going to be easy either. They boast the best Premier League defence this season, having conceded just 22 goals in 25 games played in the Premier League. And with our attack faltering, it's going to be somewhat difficult to see how we might get goals against them this coming Saturday. But will that mean Potter going into this game thinking he should be more defensive-minded to try and keep Arsenal out than trying to score? I don't think so. As mentioned at the start of this show, we've had 11 goals smashed past us in our last 2 meetings against Arsenal. So clearly, sitting back and inviting pressure is not going to be the way forward. Arsenal's league form over the past 5 games is having won 4 and drawn 1. And that one draw was against 2-2 against Aston Villa. But where they have gotten decent results against the likes of Spurs and Man City, like I said earlier, they smashed Man City 5-1 earlier this month. They found it more difficult to break down teams like Wolves and Leicester. Now, against Wolves at the end of January, it took them a 74th minute goal from Riccardo Calafiori to get the 3 points. And as already mentioned, in the last game against Leicester, 2 late goals came from substitute Merino to secure the 3 points. In fact, they got those goals in the 81st and the 87th minute. So I'm sure that Potter would have analysed the performances by Wolves and Leicester carefully to understand what it is they did to almost keep Arsenal from scoring freely. So let's look how we might be approaching this game. Because, of course, we've got our fair share of injuries as well. Long-term absentees, Mikel Antonio, Nicholas Füllkrug and Crescencio Somerville have been joined by Vladimir Coufal and Lucas Paqueta. This creates a bit of a dilemma for Potter in both defence and midfield. What does he do? Who does he select? Or maybe it actually creates opportunities for him. In defence, I'm pretty certain Potter would want to start with a back 3 lineup. Would Coufal have been a part of that? Well, to be honest with you, it's that's what he was going for in the past few games. You know, with Coufal and Cresswell either side of a central Kilman, in central defence. Now, I've been saying for some time that I think Kilman looks far more comfortable, far more assured when he's in the centre of a back 3. However, Potter can still achieve this. He can still put out a back 3 if he continues to play maybe Cresswell on the left side, Kilman in the middle, and with either Mavropanos or the returning Todibo on the right. Now, having said that, The temptation to play all three centre backs available to him is there. Todibo could actually take the central defensive role with Mavropanos on the right hand side and Kilman moving over to the left. But the risks are obvious. Mavropanos has got errors in him. And is Todibo ready to play a full 90 minutes? Look, whoever he picks, I'm pretty certain that Potter will go with a back three in this for this game. The next challenge is to see whether he sticks with Emerson on the left side of defence or whether he's going to actually start Ollie Scholes in this game. Ollie Scholes has been great when he's come on. He was great when he started in the game against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. And maybe he's knocking on the door to actually start this game. But will it be at the expense of Emerson? As mentioned, like Arteta, whether by default or design, both managers, both head coaches have put faith in their youngsters. And I can see Scholes being given the nod for this game. Could Potter then play Emerson, maybe as a left-sided centre-back, in order to keep Kilman in the middle and maybe Todibo on the right side? Maybe, but I don't remember ever seeing Emerson playing as a left-sided centre-back. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's also possible, but not certain to happen. But Potter has other options, and that is to play maybe four at the back, with Emerson maybe playing at left back and Scholes just in front of him. That's possible as well. But like I said, I really do think that Potter really wants to start with a back three in this game. And then the central two midfielders will be Alvarez, and it's a toss-up between whether he plays James Ward-Prowse or Thomas Soucek alongside him. And I genuinely can't call this. I think either or is quite likely. Wan-Bissaka, of course, is going to take his place on the right side of defence. And then the three up front, many are suggesting that Luis Guilherme is going to be given the nod after impressing in training. Now, I'm not so sure, to be honest. I think whether this is likely to happen, but I do expect Guilherme to get much more game time than he was afforded the 5 minutes at the end of the game against Brentford. My front three are likely to be Bowen, Kudus, and I think Ferguson is going to be given the nod in this game. And I know what Potter said about sort of easing him in and not likely to get 90 minutes out of him, but that doesn't mean he doesn't start. You know, you could start Ferguson and maybe have to take him off after 60, 70, 80 minutes if need be. Ferguson will offer the kind of threat against the Arsenal defence in by pulling them wide out of their positions to hopefully allow the likes of Bowen and Kudus to attack the space behind him. So here are my predicted lineups. If he goes with a back three, I think he will obviously keep Areola in goal. There is a very, very good chance he will play all three central defenders available to him, with Mavropanos on the right, Todibo in the middle, and Kilman on the left. I have said that I think Kilman is better off in the centre, but maybe again needs must. Could he maybe play Creswell on the left and then drop Mavropanos and Todibo on the right? That's a high possibility. And then the four, if he goes for a 3-4-3, Wan-Bissaka on the right side. Again, as I've said, I'm really not sure whether it will be James Ward-Prowse or Soucek alongside Alvarez. And I think if Emerson is going to be dropped, it will be for this lineup with Scholes starting on the left-hand side. And then the front three, as I've already mentioned, Bowen and Kudus flanking with Ferguson in the middle. Now, if he goes for a back four, I think he could do something like this. Areola in goal. Excuse Mavropanos up there. I forgot to put him on the subs bench. Areola in goal. Wan-Bissaka with Todibo and Kilman in the centre of a back four. And then it's a toss-up between Scholes and Emerson. And maybe Scholes might just get the nod there if it's a back four. Like I said already, a toss-up between James Ward-Prowse and Soucek alongside Alvarez. And then you'll see a centre three of Kudus in the middle, Soler on the left and Bowen on the right with Ferguson up front. Now, I deliberately didn't put Kudus on the left-hand side because I just think he's going to be much more he's going to be much better in the middle. When you put him out on the left, he kind of gets a little bit lost. So that's my prediction in terms of lineup. What about score? Well, we're not going to stop them scoring, are we? I'd love to think that we would, and it's going to be very difficult us scoring against them. But I am going to predict a draw. I think we're going to walk away with a point in this game. Instead of the one thing I will predict is we're not going to get thumped. We're not going to get thumped 5-2 or 6-0 as we have done in the last two games. And away from home, we seem to be sort of better against the likes of Arsenal's and etc. And our home form has not been great. So playing away from home might just give us that, take that pressure off a little bit. So I'm going with a 1-1. Let's see what you guys think, and let's see who's in the chat. Good afternoon to you, William. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, Anthony. I hope you're well. You're the only West Ham site still. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Haven't got a lot watching this afternoon, so I'm not really sure if Friday lunchtimes are going to work for me. But thank you for saying that. Anthony, stuck in a lift again, no doubt. Thankfully not. Good afternoon to you, Upton Park. How are you? I hope you're well. Anthony, I'd like to see Alvarez, Kilman, Wan-Bissaka back three. Alvarez, Kilman, and Wan-Bissaka. Well, I did mention that a few weeks ago, and I got slated for suggesting that Wan-Bissaka might start in a back three. That's also possible, but then you'd have Bone as a wing back, and I got slated for that as well. Barry, good afternoon to you. I hope you're well. Happy Friday lunchtime to you as well, mate. Thank you for joining and watching. Adrian, good afternoon, mate. We haven't shithoused as many games this season as usual. This weekend would be the perfect time. Could be the perfect time. Why not? I mean, you know, Arsenal have got their injuries. We've got ours as well. But will they suffer more than us? Well, they haven't seemed to in the league so far. Cowboys and Indians, I hope you're well. Thank you for joining as well. Obsidian, good afternoon to you. Anthony, we need Ward-Prowse to play set plays are going to be the way to probably beat them. Absolutely. But if only we can play our football in the way American football does, where you bring on players for set pieces only rather than having those players on for the full 90 minutes. Good evening. Good afternoon, Epic. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Obsidian, please tell me what you think your lineup is going to be, and please tell me what you think the score line will be as well. Kilman overrated, Mav error prone, Todibo not match fit. What can go wrong? A lot. Kilman, I think that's why I think Kilman is better off playing in the middle of a back three. I think he just looks more assured. I think when we played a back four against Brentford last week, it was a surprise, first of all. And we got caught out, didn't we, with that ball straight through over the top in the middle. And that's our central defenders were split. That's why I like someone in the back three. Will Potter pick a team that will keep him there? I don't know. Let's see. Anthony, in the middle, Irving, Soler, Scarles, and Emerson. I don't know if Irving will start this game, but it'd be probably why JWP is back. Josh, good afternoon, mate. I'm very well. Am I going to the game? I am indeed, mate. I certainly am. Looking forward to it. Well, I always look forward to it until after, when I just go, I never know. I went to the game last December up there, expecting absolutely nothing, and came out of that game absolutely chuffed to bits. Anthony, up front, Bowen, Kudus, and Ferguson. Yeah, I agree with that. Toho, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Good evening, afternoon to you, Stephen. Thank you for joining, mate. Frog, no Mavro barn dance, please. You tell me who you want in the back, because it's a tough call. Todibo, I think, you know, he's looked like he's been training well. I think he'll probably start, but it really is all down to whether Potter decides to play a back three or a back four. If he plays a back three, I can see maybe Mavropanos starting as well, in order to maybe put Todibo, as I said, in the centre, and then Kilman on the left-hand side. But if he plays a back four, Todibo may start and Mavropanos may not start. Obsidian, Mavs in the stands, best players for him. Let's not forget, he scored that goal against them. Against his old team, and when we played them at their ground last time. Anthony, 2-3 with Ward-Prowse scoring a free kick. I would love that. Andrew, good afternoon, mate. Thank you for joining. Toha, Emerson seemed to play better when Pack played on the left. That has not happened this season and won't now. That is true. That is true. They've got a very good understanding between the two of them. That I agree with that. Toha, I'm fence sitting for a draw. Well, it's a result. I'm listening secretly at work. Thank you for doing so, Aaron. Don't get in trouble, mate. But thank you for doing so. Funky T, afternoon to you as well. Hope not to get a drumming this weekend. I feel a 1-1 draw is going to happen. That's my prediction as well. John, good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. You're from Trinidad. Of course, you're at Trinidad, aren't you, mate? I hope you're well there, mate. Thank you for joining. Josh, good afternoon to you. What are some good pubs to go to on a match day? I usually end up in the Cow, but instead my usual moaning about the stadium, I want to find something to enjoy about a day out at the London Stadium. Do you know what? I genuinely, we keep chopping and changing. At times we go to the Spoons, the what's it called? Oh, damn it, it's gone. The Golden Grove, which is at the top of Stratford, but it's a long walk to the stadium after that. The Cow is all right, but it gets quite busy. That's in the shopping centre, isn't it? Sometimes we go to the Premier Inn, which is not too bad, but that can get quite busy as well. And sometimes we go to the Supporters Club, which is literally just round the corner from the stadium itself. So we're not settled. It's a strange one, you know. We used to go to the Supporters Club quite a lot, but we keep chopping and changing now. Andrew, definitely start with a back 3 and a 5 with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Scarles as wing backs. The back, Kudus, Bowen and Ferguson up front. I think we're all kind of agreed with that. Kilman, Todibo, Creswell and Casey. I don't think Casey will start, but Creswell is a possibility. You know, I keep having it in the back of my mind. If he wants Kilman in the centre of a back 3, then it could be Creswell getting the nod. And also, when you play Scarles on the left-hand side, you've got a good, experienced player in Creswell being able to guide who am I thinking of? Scarles as well. Hadir, good afternoon to you. Very nervous good day from Australia. Don't be too nervous, Hadir. You never, Hadir, sorry, mate. This is the beauty of football, isn't it? As I always say, you don't know what's going to happen. When we went there in December in 2023, we didn't expect to win, and yet we came out with one. Trenny, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're well. I will be. There you go. He's going back home. You can meet up. Not that I'm jealous or anything. Mark, I think this game will tell how far we've come under Potter. Let's not get thrashed 5-0. Great show. Thank you very much. That's a really good point as well, to be quite honest with you. If this is a game, look, even if we lose, we can't afford to keep losing. Let's make that very clear. But if we walk away from this game, you know, maybe sort of defeated by the odd goal, then that is a sign, isn't it? I know we need points. Schizo, good afternoon to you. We'll give them a game on Saturday, feeling confident. Absolutely. This is what I'm thinking, and much in alignment with Mark's point about, you know, let's see how far we've come under Potter. Potter won't sit back at this game. Potter will go for it. Potter will try and get a result. And, you know, that's, you know, what have we always said? The best form of defense is attack, you know, so I don't think we'll sit back. It was a surprise in the way we played in the first half against Brentford. But I think Potter will have learned from that. He's talked about learning from games, and I think he would have learned from that as well. Chris, I go to the pizza place in Hackney Wick. They do drinks too. That's interesting. We used to go to Hackney Wick a lot, and we haven't done that for a while. Andrew, drinks around Bethnal Green, Mile End, some good pubs, only 30-minute walk to the stadium. I think some of my mates want to sort of be almost right there, but that's a good shout as well. Josh, anyone from Hertfordshire here know of any good West Ham-centric pubs to go to watch a game? I'm surrounded by Spurs. I don't, I'm afraid. If anyone can offer you any advice, John, then please let him know. John, please hit that. Please do. I don't know, probably all subscribers watching, but if you're not a subscriber of the channel, please consider subscribing, and please also hit the like button after the video to show your appreciation of the show. Trini, Arsenal have a few injuries. They do indeed. I'm going to go back and reiterate what I've said already, Trini. Pubs aside, Josh, firstly, want to see some pride, some spin, some bloody grit. The thing I hated most under Moyes was being described as defensive, but not going against top six and looking spineless. And I totally agree with you on that. And I don't think Potter will go in the same way. So let's go back and say, and, you know, reiterate what I said for those of you who joined late. So, as I've said, the last two games are games to forget. Both thumpings, 6-0 and a 5-2 defeat. That's 11 goals in 2 games in the last 2 games against Arsenal, which is not something we want to see again. But ironically, the last game that we beat them at was at their ground. So there's hope there. When we beat them 2-0 under David Moyes. And, that night, like I said, was special because not only did Souček get his customary goal against Arsenal, he does normally score against them, but we also had Mavropanos scoring a goal against his old club. And Angelo Ogbonna, put in an absolute masterclass performance against Arsenal that night. It was a superb defensive performance. So, we've got that to hope for. And then the other hope, as I've said, for Mikel and Arteta, it's going to be a bit of an unknown. Whereas I've already mentioned, when Moyes was in charge and Lopetegui were in charge, you kind of knew that we were going in defensively. And you guys have already said it as well. Maybe under Potter, it's not going to be the same way. So that's another thing that we should look forward to. Potter is going to try and set us up. Of course, he doesn't want to open us up completely, but Potter is going to try and set up and try and go for this game, which is going to be an interesting one for Arteta. Now, of course, that opens up it could open up the floodgates for Arsenal, but I don't think that's the case here. The irony is that Lopetegui and Moyes went into the previous games being defensive minded, and we got 5 put past us and 6 put past us. I don't think that's going to be the case with Potter. And then the third factor, as Trini has just alluded to, Arsenal have got quite a few injuries to deal with. And as I've said earlier on, Tomiyasu, their right back, is now injured and out for the rest of the season. Saka is not ready to come back, even though he's back in training in the gym. Mikel Merino is the player that got them their 3 points against Leicester last weekend, and he could be in line to start the game. But they've also got the likes of Kai Havertz, who's out injured for the rest of the season after tearing a hamstring, and Gabriel Martinelli not likely to return until after the international break, and Gabriel Jesus is also out with an anterior cruciate ligament injury as well. But they've been doing well. Even despite losing all these players, in their last 5 games in the Premier League, they've won 4 and they've won 5. And one of the 4 that they won was the 5-1 thrashing of Man City at the beginning of February. The one draw that they got was a 2-2 against Aston Villa. But as I said earlier on, the interesting thing is how they set up against, or how Leicester and Wolves set up against them and made it really difficult for them. They did get the 3 points against both teams with who scored their goal? Calafiori getting their goal against Wolves in something like the 74th minute to get 3 points. And then, as I've just said, Merino got 2 very late goals against Leicester, 81st and 87th minute. So that's something that I'm sure Potter would have been looking at and scrutinising to understand how those 2 teams managed to frustrate Arsenal for very long periods of those games. But of course, we've got to keep certain players quiet. Martin Odegaard, 3 goals and 6 assists this season, is clearly a very key player for them, and we've got to keep him quiet. And if we can snuff him out of this game, then one of their lifelines for getting attempts on goal and goals themselves could be snuffed out. But that, of course, also relates to a player that Potter knows very well, and that's Leandro Trossard. He scored 5 goals and he's got 7 assists in all competitions this season as well. So you snuff out those 2 players. You see, that's the thing with Arsenal. They've got very good players. They've got good depth in strength in depth. But they're relying, Mikel Arteta is putting a lot of reliance and faith in his young players. He's got a couple of young players that have been playing in this game. And fair play to him. It's a bit like what Potter has been doing. He's putting faith, like I said, whether by design or by default, he's putting faith in some of the young players that he's got available to him. And West Ham, of course, we've got our own injury issues, like I've already said. We know that Paqueta is going to be out for a month, maybe just under. He may be back for the game against Everton away in the middle of March, but he's definitely out for the next couple of games because of an injury that happened during training. Apparently, Aaron Wan-Bissaka apparently put in a challenge, but apparently he turned his ankle. I don't know if it was as a consequence of, but he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. And he is out alongside, of course, long-term absentees such as Crescencio Somerville, Nicholas Fulkrug, and Mikel Antonio. Of course, Vladimir Sufal is also out injured for about a month as well. I've asked the question: does Ollie Scholes get to start this game? I think he does, but it will depend on what sort of lineup, what formation Potter plays. If it's a back three, you could see Scholes definitely starting as a left-sided wing back. If it's a back four, maybe, just maybe, he might start as a left back. I'm not so sure, but we'll have to wait and see. And there's a lot of talk, as I've said earlier, about Guilherme maybe starting. I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I think from what I understand, he's been doing extremely well in training, but I'm not so sure that Guilherme will actually start. But I do expect to see more of him than we did against Brentford last weekend. So here's my lineup. If we go with a back three, it's very possible that he will play Potter all the three central defenders that he's got available to him, with Mavropanos on the right, maybe Tadibo in the middle, and Kilman on the left. Like I said, I do think Kilman plays better when he's in the centre of a back three. So you could possibly see Cresswell playing on the left side with Tadibo on the right side and Kilman then in the middle. And as I said earlier as well, if Ollie Scholes starts, then he's got a very experienced defender playing just behind him in Cresswell, guiding him. And then the four in the middle, Wan-Bissaka, Scholes, Alvarez, and it's a toss-up between James Ward-Prowse and Souček. You take your pick from those two. And then I think the front three will be Bowen, Kudus, and Ferguson will start. If he does go with the back four, for those of you joining late, my apologies. I forgot to put Mavropanos on the subs bench. But if he does go with the back four, then you could see something like this. Wan-Bissaka, Kilman and Tadibo in the middle. And then it's a toss-up between Emerson and Scholes. I don't know. Maybe he'll put faith in the young lad. Like I said, in the middle, it's either Ward-Prowse or Souček alongside Alvarez. And again, with a front three with a middle attacking three of Kudus, Bowen and Soler with Ferguson up front. As I said earlier on, I don't think he's going to want to put Kudus on the left side. It could do. It's a much more natural position for Soler to play in the middle, of course. But I just think that Kudus just gets lost in there, doesn't he? If he plays out on the left side, he's just not his strength. It's not his forte. Okay. Let's see what other comments do we have before I let you go for the rest of the day. Matt, happy Friday to you, mate, as well. Can't believe we've got sun down in Newham. We've got sun in northwest London as well. Going to tomorrow's game. Haven't been since our 2-0 win under Super Slav. Oh, okay. So, of course, yeah, we beat them 2-0 under Slaven Bilic as well. Time to unleash Guilherme's pace, Stephen. I think from the bench, I really do. Because if you look at this lineup, let's go for the 3-4-3. If you put Guilherme there, who are you going to drop? Because it will either be Ferguson and then you put Bowen up front. You could potentially drop Kudus. I personally wouldn't, to be quite honest with you. I know he's not been firing recently, but it's either going to be for Ferguson or for Kudus. Would you really drop one of those two for Guilherme? Tell me if you think that's the right thing to do. I'd love to hear that. Because if you do play Guilherme from the start, it's going to be at the expense of Ferguson or Kudus. So tell me who you think might drop out for Guilherme starting. Frog, being classed as a defensive side with 121 goals conceded so far since the start of last season, it's impressive. Fucking hell, is it 121 goals? Josh, what do you think of Guilherme? I like him. Where is the news coming from that's impressing Potter in training? Of course, all the ITKs are standing there watching. Look, I don't know. You get those, that's the news you get. I like him. I think he's still work in progress. I think it's going to take time to actually get him to end up being part of a starting lineup. But he's got impressive pace, that's for sure. Not seen any real improvement so far from Finn. 4-0. I disagree with that, to be honest with you, Finn. I think we have seen much better performances, but unfortunately, we're not getting the results. I think we've been unlucky in some, and I think we've been naive in others. I think the naivety has obviously come in the game against Brentford last weekend, which was really, really disappointing. John, have a feeling Sir Scarles will score. Would be wonderful if he did. DA, good afternoon to you. That 2-0 was a brilliant win. It was a superb win. And Ogbonna, as much as we played really, really well throughout the whole team, Ogbonna for me just stood out. He put everything in that game. It was such a shame that we lost him soon after, wasn't it? Was it just after when we played Liverpool? That's when he went out with his long-term injury. What a shame. Matt, Stel, I know you've mentioned this before, but I keep seeing that Antonio may be back for the last 5 games of the season. I already know it's fake news, but it's annoying that kids trolling online. I think, let's be really honest with you. If he came back at the end of this season, all fair play to him. I think that would be a superb return to action after what he's suffered. Personally, I don't believe it either, to be quite honest with you. Yes, he is training. Yes, he is back in the gym. You can see that he's been doing an awful lot of training, but it's more upper body strength than it is his legs. He's broken his leg. He's had an operation as well. I can't remember what other part. It's going to take. It takes 6 months. The injuries that he's picked up will take a minimum 6 months to 4 to 6 months to recover from, let alone starting to kick a football, etc. Tell me about it, Frog. It's so annoying to read, especially against Liverpool or City. It's like we resign to the fact that we lose and everything and do everything to not win. This is why I think I've taken to Potter, because at least he's going out there and trying to put in performances to try and get something to win against these kinds of teams. Have to watch Nwaneri and, of course, Odegaard and Nwaneri. Good. Is he the 17 or the 18-year-old, one of their academy players? Absolutely correct, Trini. Josh, it's very small, but the only improvement I'm seeing is that we don't implode when we concede, but we still do not look cohesive or defensively sound. We make so many loose ball passes. We do. And a lot of the errors that happen are kind of like, they're not enforced on us. It's us giving the ball away most of the time. Matt, I think my comment got removed due to my language on your response to Brady and Jack lying about the move. They can stick their stadium made out of scaffolding up their thingies. Long live the Bow Lane, Matt. I don't know if it got removed or not. I'll have to go and have a look. I did, if for anyone that hasn't seen it, I did an analysis of Karen Brady's interview on the Boardroom, that Sky podcast that Jack Sullivan is part of. A lot of what's the word? A lot of things she said there were kind of not really true. We had to move to the new stadium to sort of progress and get European success. What a load of claptrap. We know that that's not true. And I did say in the review that I did, in the analysis of that show that I did, that maybe she's forgotten that we've already been in Europe before. We've already won a European trophy when we were at the Boleyn, so she twisted a lot of things. Really disappointing interview that was. And also about the stadium and fans having to accept change, etc. Yeah, okay, we accept change, but only if or the half-truths that they offered us materialize. It's not a world-class stadium. It's not a world-class football team. And could we have made Europe by not moving to the London Stadium? Yes, we absolutely could have done. Disappointing. Really, really disappointing what Brady said in that interview. Obsidian. But imagine how many more goals we would have conceded if we weren't defensive. Obsidian again. I thought Brady and Jack was a new Brandy and Jack was a new cocktail. Matt, head-to-head against Arsenal. We played 57. We won 9, drawn 11, lost 37. Disgusting. Yeah, Time for another win. Who else have we got here? I would switch Bowen, Matt. You're going to have to tell me where because, here we are. I would switch Bowen and Kudus. Bowen has a better right foot. Bowen out on the left side with Kudus on the right behind Ferguson. Interesting. Could it work? Interesting. Is Tadibo? Yes, he's fit. He was named on the bench against Brentford, but not used last weekend, and he's been training all week as well. Zanussi, good afternoon to you. Seemingly Tadebo's available. Whether he's fit is another. This is the thing. He's maybe not match fit, which is why it didn't surprise me that he didn't get much game or any game time. When you think about the game against Brentford, bringing Tadebo on would have upset a lot of fans. We were 1-0 down. We were chasing the game. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense bringing on a defender. I think a lot of fans would have got disappointed in that. So I kind of understand why he didn't get to play. And we were still chasing the game right up until the end. But he may get some game time against Arsenal. Will he start? It's possible. Obsidian. What about the leaks that Soler won't be signed? Not bothered by how will that affect Soler's motivation? I can see why he wouldn't be. I think there's all this talk about him being on 240 grand a week when he was at or when he's at PSG. I can't find any evidence of that. I looked at PSG's. There's a lot of websites that you can look at to look at how much money players get paid for each team, and their top player is on about 250, 260, something like that. I can't remember who. They've got about 2 or 3 players on really, really high wages, that sort of 200 plus mark. And then they've got a lot of players on about 160, 170, 150,000 pound a week. I don't believe Soler is one of their top earners. I think Soler is probably on much more than he's getting at West Ham. What he's getting at West Ham is round about 80 grand a week, give or take. And we know that PSG are subsidizing some of his salary as well. But in terms of the cat there, that's Ollie sleeping. But in terms of not being signed, look, I like Soler. I don't think he set the world on fire. And I think Potter is going into this summer transfer window, Potter and McCauley, looking at very, very different players when it comes to signing them for West Ham in the summer. And I think he's probably thinking we could maybe better spend 16, 17 million elsewhere. I don't think a decision's been made. It's good. It's a good headline, of course. Soler won't be signed. No, sensational, blah, blah, blah. But it's all this stuff, I'm deliberately trying to keep away from transfer news. The transfer window's shut, but you can see there's so many transfer. I did say it will happen. There's so many transfer stories out there at the moment. We're signing this player, we're signing that player, etc., etc. I think let's see what happens. I think Soler's still got all to play for, but it's not been decided whether he's going to stay at West Ham. It won't surprise me if we don't sign him. I think he's all right. But this is it. I think he's all right. Has he set the world on fire? He kind of hasn't so far. Ferguson on the bench. Okay, interesting. I don't know. I think he might start in there. As much as I didn't think he would start, I think with Paqueta being out, this may give him the start. It may force Potter's hand to start him. Matt, I'm still not. I'm still not over the 2-1 loss to Chelsea. We were cheating in that game. I mean, we gave that a good shot as well, didn't we? Charles, football is a lot better. I know it's certainly much more pleasing on the eye, but we're not getting the results. Finn, do you agree personal terms with Sean Whetstone to get Shedman on tonight? Did you agree, Sean? I messaged him. Thank you for reminding me. I should be putting on a Friday late night tonight, so do look out for that. I will message Shedman to double check, but he did say yes earlier in the week. Guilherme, start him up front. I think Ferguson will get the nod there, to be honest with you, Anthony. Toho, question still. Are you an Andram performance of Greece? You got the Thunderbirds hair going on today. I haven't had my hair cut for quite some time. Amdram? Are you in an Amdram Are you in a performance of Greece? You got the thumb. Well, it is a bit of a quiff, isn't it? I just haven't cut it for a while. Zanussi, Gil Hermes. Did I misspell it? Probably. I probably did. You know me. Let's have a look. Guilherme. Oh, it's not misspelled there. Maybe I don't know. Oh, maybe it's in the intro video. probably Zanussi. He will be spraying passes. Charles, Antonio, lucky man just to be alive. Even if he doesn't play again, he's still got his family and a good life to live. Absolutely. Matt, now European football is now a table phase instead of group stages. How well do you think we could do? I don't think we could get top 10. European football. Depends on which competition it is, to be quite honest with you. If it was the Europa Conference League, I think we do well. Chris, Bournemouth and Forest chasing Champions League proves this to be wrong. What did I say that was wrong? Please forgive me if I've forgotten already. Howard, afternoon to you, mate. Live at lunchtime. We are on. Well, I'm honoured. I've got nearly 100 people watching, so it's built up. So thank you for being with me. Charles, Karen Brady must have shares in Andrex. The amount of that comes out of her mouth. Toha, happy lunchtime, Howard. Hope you're well. Cowboys and Indians. With Ferguson being the target man, hopefully Bowen and Kudus will get some crosses in. We're overdue a win. To get them to do, neither of them cross the ball. Bowen more than Kudus. That's the irony, isn't it? We've got wide players that don't cross. Hammerette, good afternoon to you. What's this then? Well, it's the second time I've tried a lunchtime show. I might stick with it. I've got to promote it more, so I get more people on. I think I only had about 10 people on the first 5 minutes. Frog, exchange the word change for fairy tales anytime the board mention it. Exchange the word change for fairy tales every time the board mention it. Very true. Who else have we got? Darren, good afternoon to you. We was in West Ham. Oh, okay. I didn't realise. Did they do a lunchtime show? I should know that, shouldn't I? I didn't know that they did. Howard, Friday night show. Bring the herb and mushrooms for tonight. Obsidian, that does narrow it down, Darren. West Ham Network release a video every 30 seconds. Do they? Oh, amateur dramatics. Okay, Amdram, there you go. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just haven't had a haircut for a while. Nothing wrong with a quiff every now and again, is there? Matt, I'm off to work. I'm off to walk the dog. Love to you all. Thank you, mate. Share, subscribe. Thank you for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. Yeah, I got it. Amateur dramatics. Tried to be down with the kids, wasting my time. I'm too old to understand all that jargon. Mate, West Ham, great again. Good afternoon to you. Did Shade Man get lucky again in the away ballot? I don't know. You can ask him tonight in the show. Needing to move stadium. Well, we know, Chris, that ain't going to happen anytime soon. Obsidian, I'm only here because I'm shirking. Working from home. Hammer, I'm having a beer tonight. Friday show will be a blast. Please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. Really appreciate that, Frog. Much appreciated. Okay, I didn't know. Maybe I should start thinking about what time I might need to start going on if I'm going to do these lunchtime shows. Billy Bob, thank you very much for doing so. Trini, West Ham Network do a lunchtime show too. I'm going to have to find out what time they do it so I can avoid them. Charles, I've just hit the like button. Come on, thank you very much indeed. Kimbo, good afternoon to you as well, mate. I hope you're well. Hammerette, Ferguson is to start with only 12 matches left, 13 actually, including tomorrow. Guilherme deserved more than 5 minutes last weekend. Scarles will be more promising than Emerson tomorrow. Frog, if Frank Spence Serrano starts, we will need an abacus. Charles, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. John, do you think Brady is related to Roger Hunt? They're on at 12:30. Maybe I need to start these shows at 1:30 then and avoid them. Okay, I've got to go back to Gaz Soler. Similar to Ward Prowse, except Ward Prowse has a better engine, but Soler technically better. I prefer Ward Prowse. Yeah, I don't know if Soler will stay on, to be honest with you. Zanuzzi, sometimes I think any time between August and May is a good time to play us. Watch out for the West Ham late night tonight. I don't know what time it'll be on. Maybe around about 9:30, 10 o'clock-ish, that sort of time. So do come on for that. I will put out a warning as to what time it will start. So look out for that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining me at this lunchtime. It's going to be an interesting game against Arsenal. Who knows? Like I said, I think with the likes of Potter, he's not going to sit back and allow Arsenal to just try and batter us, as the last two managers have. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an interesting game. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me at lunchtime, and I will see you all tonight.